up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm here at Fitzgerald's Hyundai in Clearwater, Florida, walking around trying to figure out, hey, what do you guys want to see? And lo and behold, there was a car that actually many of you had messaged me and said, can you get a hold of this car? What we're going to focus on today is this 2019 Genesis G80 with that 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. So let's talk a little history about the Genesis brand. Remember, the name Genesis first appeared in 2008 on the Hyundai Genesis sedan. Eventually there was a Genesis coupe that was built, and then finally in 2015 Hyundai decided, you know what, we need to create a premium brand to go up against Acura, Lexus, Infiniti, so on and so forth. And that's where now we have the Genesis brand in itself. One thing to remember though, is that even though now it's its own brand, you're gonna get those high scale, upscale features and feels and textures, but you're also gonna get that great bumper to bumper 5 years, 60,000 mile warranty, the big warranty on the powertrain, and then of course, styling that's gonna help stand you out from the rest of the crowd. So let's take a look and focus on this 2019 G80. So you can see the G80, what I like about Genesis is they're using their numbers for car size. We did a review on the G70, which I'll put at the end of this review, but the G80 is gonna be larger than the G70. Love off the bat. Now when you go the 3.3 twin turbo sport route, which this one is, you have very unique functioning. There's actually 3 engine choices, but we'll get to that in a second. I love the front end with the very aggressive headlight housing. Down here you actually have functional venting, not only right here up front, but also on the sides. That's gonna help direct air as it hits the front fascia. I really like the way that they decided to put some body lines into this lower area. I think one thing that maybe would have went a little extra sprinkling, is a lower lip spoiler underneath it, since it is the sport model with that twin turbo V6. As we go across, I think Genesis is doing a great job trying to create identity for the brand. One way that a car company does that is off the grille. This is a 6-point grille, looks very Infiniti-esque, and that's the thing is that you're gonna see some design features and whatnot that actually look like they came from other car companies, and I think the grille definitely is very Infiniti-esque, but I like the design of it. I like the way it's not like just a regular shiny chrome finish, it's a black chrome, and I really think that that was smart. As you work your way down, you have a little bit different grille design that's just a flat black, but then they bring that black chrome finish. You could see where the black chrome finish is behind there, that's the intercooler, because remember, this is twin turbocharged, intercooled, that's gonna help produce that power. As we continue to work our way across the front, love the features of the front end of this car. Really gives it some identity in that Genesis lineup. As we work our way around the side, another thing I want to point out is the badge. Badge is very similar to an Aston Martin or a Bentley. It's got some extra touch to it to separate it, but I actually think it's a very modern, very tasteful badge on the front of the car. As we work our way to the side, absolutely in love with these wheels. These wheels are just drop dead gorgeous. 19-inch wheel, love the color, love the shape. I even like the blackish chrome finish around the center cap here. You can see the Genesis logo, massive calipers. This thing, believe it or not, is gonna perform. It's gonna surprise you. 0 to 60 in this size sedan, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Some people are getting 4.9 depending on road and weather conditions. So nice to see a great brake setup with the Genesis brand and a great wheel setup. Very nice. As we go down the side, I think it was so smart to go blacked out on the mirrors. They even did like a smoke black on the LED turn signals, and then up onto the roof you're gonna have panoramic sunroof, nice blacked out roof, really blends in well. And that's the thing is that I'm finding that a lot of these Genesis models, the features that they do, it makes a really nice cohesive package. Let's continue down the side. This is what I'm telling you about. Look at the styling here. I love the black chrome on the door handle, down here on the bottom, and I think it was very smart to put a lower side skirt down there, all the way back to the rear of the car. And I think it was also smart not to do the door handles totally in black chrome. I think just by giving it a little bit of touch, it really sets it off perfectly. Love the same kind of treatment around the windows. It's a great color. It's almost like brushed aluminum in the way. As we continue to work our way back, here's where I'm gonna zonk it. I wish this had a trunk lid spoiler. Just something that was a little kick up, maybe something in carbon fiber, maybe something to match the lower lip spoiler, but I really like the way the the taillight housing wraps around, obviously gonna be full LED, and I like the way that they're very slim and very trim. It's not really wide, they're nice and narrow. As we finish it off, I think it was smart that they went with a gloss black diffuser down here, and then finally, somebody listened to me, quad tip exhaust. That's the exhaust that I would want to see on the G70 with the 3.3, but you know what? They put it on this G80, very aggressive rear end and just very stylish and upscale feel. Speaking of that V6 twin turbo, let's go ahead and pop the hood and check it out. All right guys, hood is popped on this 2019 Genesis G80. Let's see what we're working with. Now, like I told you at the start of the video, there's actually 3 different engine choices that you could go with. This is gonna be that 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. It's mated to a slick shifting 8-speed automatic transmission. You can go with a 3.8 naturally aspirated, or you could go with the 5-liter V8 naturally aspirated. But to be honest with you, the sweet spot is this engine. It's got 365 horsepower, 375 foot-pounds of torque. This Genesis, believe it or not, the G80 comes with adaptive suspension, and like I had mentioned before, because it's a sport model, has unique exterior and interior features. 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds, quarter mile in 13.9, and a top speed of 135 miles an hour. When you think of it, this car weighs 4,600 pounds, so it's no feather light by any means, but you know what? They did a great job getting some power, getting it to the ground. Love the look of this is probably one of the nicest engine covers that I've seen on a Genesis product or a lot of other brands. Nice touch with that brushed aluminum, the Genesis logo, the turbo badge, and it just, everything seems to be just totally placed exactly where it needs to be. Nothing extra on the covers, and like I'll say, it's very European-esque when we look at those other upscale brands. But let's go ahead, looking at this engine's great, let's go ahead and fire it up. Alright guys, we're inside this 2019 Genesis G80. If you're wondering about the color, this is probably one of the nicest colors I've ever seen on any car. It's called Siberian Ice. What a cool name for a cool color. Now, before I go any further and talk about anything else, let's talk about price. MSRP on this is a little bit above $56,000. Let's see what we're going to get with this particular model. Now remember, you could come in at a lower price point, or you could even go higher with that 5-liter V8. Door panels, absolutely, positively in love. I love the leather on the armrest. I like that contrast stitching. It's not red, it's not orange, it's not pink. It's like a mixture of all of them. Very, very sporty, very aggressive. You have the faux carbon fiber design, which looks really good. It looks real, even to the touch. Nice soft material, obviously all over the door panel. I like the silver trim, especially around the speaker system. And then as you transition from the door onto the dash, lots of space here. Soft material. They went nice with that carbon fiber. Even though it's faux carbon fiber, looks wonderful. A nice wet weave, very nicely done. I'm glad they brought that silver from the door onto the actual dash area. You could see the large 8-inch screen, really clear with the graphics, with the font and everything. Nice, very, very nicely done with that whole setup. And I really think that that was super smart to have it be that size, nice and clear. If I'm gonna zonk it, some of this black around it is a little bit on the cheaper side, but as soon as you stop looking at this and look back at the faux carbon fiber, you're like, oh, all is well in the world. This is what I like to see. Nice design touches. They actually integrated the hazards button into the trim. Very nice. You have analog clock, because that's something that, yes, you use a clock to tell time. I guess now to tell an upscale video car, you have a clock there. All the controls are nice and slim. Let me go ahead and start it up, and you'll be able to see how the steering wheel comes out. You obviously have electric telescoping and tilting steering wheel, so that's a really nice touch. You have your dual climate control, radio controls, very nice and very clean. I like the way they brought the leather all the way up on the center console, and the center console is a great height. It's just high enough to where it's going to separate you and your passenger, but it's nothing too crazy like in some of the Porsche products. There's that 8-speed automatic transmission, leather. It's got some nice gloss black, just enough, but I like this black material, and I think you will too, because it doesn't leave fingerprints, which is very nice. You have your cup holder. Here's your key fob. Very, very aggressive, sexy looking key fob. Reminds me of an old flip phone, but you know what? It's pretty sexy looking for a key fob. You have a nice compartment here that's sliding. Here's a zonk. One USB jack right here, and that is it for up front. So I would like to see 2 USB jacks up front. Loving this area here. You're going to obviously have ventilated and heated seats, so that's very nice. And then all of your controls with a nice rotary dial. So as you go back to the screen, which I'll have Tom swing back to the screen real quick and really challenge his skills and his strength, you can see how with the rotary dial, I can just spin it around and go into whatever I want to change or adjust or set up or anything like that. So that's a really, really nice touch that they have that set up for you there. Really easy to use. You can see that you have different cameras that you could use for this car. Even a front-facing camera. And then when you open this up, the Bombay doors. I love this style. You only see this in certain cars, and it's nice in this Genesis G80. I really, really like that style. It's Mercedes all the way. Great usable space. There's another USB here. So you have a USB up front, USB in the back. The 12-volt is in the back, in the compartment. And then what's nice is you have a place where you could actually just put your phone. So say this is my old flip phone from college. I just put it right in here, and there you go. You can put your phone or your key fob or whatever you have. Nice leather, soft touch onto the seats. Love the design. Just enough bolstering to where you feel like you're being a little hugged. I love the headrests and the contrast stitching, and I just love the overall design in each of the things. Very, very nicely done. Full power on both sides. You got the light up Genesis logo down there on the sill. Why don't you come on over to the business side, and I'll show you some of the niceties going on this side. So come on over. All right, guys, business side in this Genesis G80. Seats are so comfortable, and I'm telling you, with all these different ways to adjust it, it's so easy to get it right the first time. Plus you have 2 memory settings on that. Since we're down low, you can see that the Genesis G80 has aluminum dead pedal, aluminum brake, and aluminum gas pedal. So that's nice to see. It's just all the fine touches that add up to the bigger picture. Love the steering wheel. It's a really good thickness. I love the design of the horn button. Very slim, very trim. The silver touches, nicely done. You can see that located behind the steering wheel, you do have paddles that you could up and downshift through that 8-speed automatic transmission. And then when it comes to the dash, really nicely done with what they did. It's all backlit. It's got a nice display in the center where you could actually toggle through different information, which is really nice. You're going to get the whole suite of different safety features in this car. Lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring. That's becoming the norm across the board in these vehicles. And then another thing I also like about the steering wheel is that you have a mixture of buttons, but then you also have some nice thumb drives. So it's good to see those types of things. It makes it look upscale and feel upscale. Alcantara style material on the headliner. And then let's go ahead and send back the sunshade here. This is cool. It splits in half, and then there's our panoramic sunroof. All one touch. Let's go down to the beach and take the G80. But before we do that, let's see where the passengers are going to be sitting. All right, guys, backseat time of the G80. I really like what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing and how I'm sitting. Lots of space back here. Remember, I'm 6 feet tall and there's plenty of room. You get the same great appointments on the doors, including a sunscreen as well. If you notice at the top of the door panel, there's that little tab there. You pull up on that. And here, when Tom comes back and shows the inside, I'll show you how it works. You pull up on the tab, and then you just hang it right there. So if you have a child or something, you don't want that sun blasting on their face, it's nice to do. And then once you're done, you just slide it right back. When it comes to the back seat, nice soft leather, really love the material. This is nice because guess what? It's not just regular plastic. It's got a thin layer of faux leather wrapped around it to help it blend in. You have a nice compartment here for an iPad or a book or whatever. Here's where it gets a little wonky. I like that it has rear AC, but what is this empty real estate here? Let's build a USB house, or maybe two. That's something that very important in this car, needs to have it, but we're gonna zonk it because it doesn't. Overall, I love how comfortable it is. I didn't move the seat much, and you can see how much room I have. Check this thing out. This is like the mega armrest here. This is like it's almost like a separate chair you could bring in your house and use in your living room. I like how soft it is, how wide it is, and then it's got two cup holders that are really nice, and the seat heater controls in the actual armrest. I haven't seen that before, so that's actually pretty neat. It should almost have like an automatic raising button to send it back because it's a pretty massive armrest. Other than that, lots of room. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk space and see what we're working with. All right, guys, with a sedan this size, because remember, this is bigger than the G70, let's see what kind of room that we have in the trunk. It's actually power lift trunk. Goes up, it's so quiet, you don't even hear anything, and then lots of space. I like the way that the trunk is nice and wide, and it is very, very deep in length. Even with, you could then fold down those seats 60-40, but if you notice, Tom, show them how in the center there's an actual pass-through. So you could have something that maybe is longer, that is not as wide, that you could just put right through the pass-through, or the passenger, you could set up a cooler right back there, and the passenger can reach back to that pass-through to grab something to drink or eat. But I really like just the overall space, and really, I think what we've all been waiting for, let's go ahead and take this G80 for a spin. All right, guys, we're rolling out of Fitzgerald Hyundai in Clearwater, Florida. We're in the G80, the Genesis G80, and I'm telling you right away, like I pointed out before, as soon as you slip into this car, because when I say slip, instead of just get in, you really slip into this car because everything just fits you so nicely. Everywhere you touch, you're gonna be greeted by upscale appointments, no matter if it's on the armrest, no matter if it's on the door, the steering wheel. Love the visibility. Out the front, very, very good visibility. You have that heads-up display, which a lot of cars are bringing into their lineup, and with the Genesis G80, it is really nice and clear. I like the font on it, and it's not like you really have to move your head around to see it, which is really nice. So that's really, really great. That they set it up that way. Love the position of the steering wheel. Obviously, it's quiet as can be in here. Another thing, I don't know if you've driven one of these yet, but as soon as you start it up, the side bolsters actually kind of squeeze in on you a little bit, which is kind of cool. So when you get in, they're kind of, you know, sprayed apart a little bit wider, but when you start it up, it squeezes on you and then lets it out just a little bit. So I think there's a nice blend of comfort but also support, and that's the thing we have to remember. We don't want to be sitting on a pillow when we're driving a car, because once the road gets a little twisty, or you have to get a little aggressive with driving the car, it's not going to hold you in very well. But with this, the bottom portion is great, the back portion is amazing, and the bolstering, I think, is clearly spot on. 8-speed automatic, great engine choice. You don't have to worry about you know, CVTs in any of their cars or anything like that, and it's just super smooth. Turn it in, I'm gonna turn a little bit faster, but everything feels great. You remember, with this car, rear wheel drive, you do have those 3 different engine options, but I'm telling you, if you go and you see Igor down at Fitzgerald's Hyundai and you take this for a spin, you're not even gonna think about those other 2. I think this one is really the sweet spot in the lineup for the amount of power, the amount of torque, and just the overall balance of the car, which is very nice. Very smooth. I was telling you about the thumb wheels on the steering wheel to go and toggle through different information. Very easy to use, and it's great because you could glance down quickly at that digital display in the center in between the analog tach and the analog speedometer to see whatever information that you need to get right away, and then you could get your attention right back on the road. All right, guys, let's go ahead and just lay on the loud pedal just a little bit. Drops down and you're off. Like I said, 365 horsepower, 0 to 60, depending on the conditions, around 5 seconds. Some people have seen 4.9, believe it or not. I don't know if you noticed, we just went over an uneven patch from some tree roots ripping through the asphalt. Very smooth, very stable. I love the feel from the steering wheel. Now remember, you can hit that drive mode selector button right at the base of the shifter. You have eco if you want to be a little bit you know, tree friendly and you've been hugging trees around your house. You can hit that eco button and it's going to help conserve fuel and whatnot. Or if you're feeling a little bit extra sporty, you hit that sport button, and what it's going to do is it's going to adjust how the car reacts. Remember, this car has adaptive dampeners at all 4 corners, so that means that that's going to be adjusted to a more cush ride or a stiffer ride depending on what you want from the car at that particular point. But even through just rolling around, it's nice because the transmission does not have to drop down several gears. I just lightly pressed on the accelerator, it dropped down 1 gear, it knew exactly what I wanted to do, and then it projected us in that direction. Really good feel. And what I'm going to do is press on the brakes a little hard here and just get a feel for those. Like I said, those massive calipers, great size rotors, you're going to be able to stop this car with no problem and feel safe and secure. Rolling away. Now the sound, when we did the sound clip, I would like to see maybe in sport mode it get a tad louder, but I'm actually digging the sound that's coming into the engine compartment. I feel like maybe it could be just a little bit throatier when you're in sport, but overall not too shabby for the actual interior. Another thing I noticed as well is when you're in sport mode and you release throttle, it actually holds on to a gear for a little longer instead of just putting you right back into 8th right away. You know, thinking that you're going to save fuel or whatnot. It keeps you in that power band sweet spot, and that is so important on any engine, but especially a twin turbo engine. Now the great news is in these Genesis G80s, the V6 twin turbo, the turbos are a little bit on the smaller side, but that's a good thing. To have 2 smaller turbos is actually going to help increase a more linear boost pressure to where the throttle and acceleration is going to be more linear. So what that means to you is no turbo lag. This car has absolutely none. It comes in at a very low RPM. It's not like the old days where you get to 4,000, 5,000 RPM and then it hits you like a ton of bricks. That is good. And I don't even care if you're driving the car aggressive or not. Just being able to just have that power when you need it, when you want it, while you're driving around without having to wait for it is very important. But I really like how they just give you the whole suite of all the safety features, and on the interior, all those creature comforts. I love the ventilated seats. If the day's colder, obviously you could then warm them up, but really just great and smooth. Let me just do a acceleration stop. Look at that, nice and stable. 4,600 pound car, it does not feel like that. This isn't a lightweight, but it feels light on its feet, and that's another thing to remember. But obviously we're back to Fitzgerald's Hyundai. We're going to wrap this up, so we'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been one heck of a day here at Fitzgerald's Hyundai in Clearwater, Florida. Definitely got to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Igor and everybody else here at the dealership being so accommodating and getting this beautiful Siberian Ice Genesis G80 for us, for you on Raiti's Rides. But if these are the types of cars that you like to see on the channel, leave a comment in that comment section. If you are new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. Check out all my different forms of social media. You know what they're called. It's all Raity's Rides original content all the time. If you want to get yourself some merch, click that link in the description. Takes you right to Spreadshirt. And then, of course, we can't forget the Raity's Rides Powerlifter. If you're wondering who that is, it's Big Guns McGee, Tom Moschner, powerlifting that camera, but also powerlifting the big weights to win the gold for himself and for Raity's Rides and all of you. So thank you, Tom, for all your hard work. And just like always, I'll see you guys on the next ride.